Picture your ideal work week. Do you work for one company or do you have a variety of clients? Are you at an office or working from home? How much flexibility do you need in your daily schedule? Deciding whether working freelance or as a full-time employee is better for you depends on your personal work style and what you want your work week to look like. Working as a freelancer and being a full-time employee both have their ups and downs. Freelancers and self-employed people offer their services directly to clients and decide on their own schedules. Employees usually work at one company and receive corporate benefits. In a nutshell, freelancers own their own small businesses and have a high control over their professional life and clients they choose to work with. On the flip side, freelancing tends to be less stable than a full-time job, and you have almost no control over your earnings, and you cannot predict how much you will earn over the next week or in the course of the next few months. And let's start with the biggest pro of freelancing, and that is being able to set your own schedule. Because freelancers can decide which work hours work best for them, which hours they are willing to work, whether they are willing to work more hours or less hours, it's completely up to them. And freelancing in this regard suits most to caregivers, digital nomads, and students. And if we come to speak about freedom, freelancers have also unlimited earning potential because freelancers can set their own rates, and of course as a freelancer you can take full advantage of a remote work and you can plan your own work week according to your liking, and this is especially valuable to digital nomads or people who just want to plan their vacations, not asking for permission from their managers. And another great thing of freelancing is that you get to choose clients you want to work with, and you can say no to any clients. It depends on your availability, on your desire to work with certain type of clients. Another great perk for me personally when it comes to working on a freelance basis is that you get to avoid all this office politics, or as I call it, under carpet games, when you dread, for example, to come to your office because of certain toxic people in your environment, that not mentioning those useless meetings, which could have been an email. Another pro of being a freelancer is that you are considered to be an expert in your field as your expertise grows, as your portfolio grows, as your reputation, online reputation grows. And if you do it right, you will build your brand along with your expertise, along with your portfolio, with your projects, and with your rate. And building a personal brand anywhere online means a lot. Firstly, you become a more desirable candidate in case you want to go full-time and again start your career as an employee, or you may seem as a more reliable partner to work with in case you want to go further and build a business and attract more high-profile clients and actually start a business and not work as an individual freelancer. So building an online reputation has a lot of perks, and as a freelancer you can totally do that. You must do that. Now, of course, with every take there is a give, and of course there are cons to freelancing as well. As a freelancer, you make rules, but at the same time you have to abide to them. You set deadlines and you have to abide to those deadlines because, as we've already mentioned, your online reputation matters and your personal brand matters. And in this regard, the biggest con of freelancing, one of the biggest cons of freelancing, there are many, is that it takes time to build your reputation, to build your contact base and your project base. Freelancing might seem challenging, especially in the beginning, when you're forced to take lower paid jobs in order to build that online reputation. And to some, it may be discouraging. If you're working full-time as a full-time employee and you are considering freelancing, like you're really tired of your full-time job, what I would advise you to do is to start freelancing without leaving your full-time job. And please don't tell me that, oh, I wouldn't have the time for that. No, you will, and you do have the time for that. You have weekends, you have nights, you have evenings. I mean, you're not the only one in the world who have done that. I have done that too. For several years I've been combining doing a full-time job, caring for my 2 children, and having 2 freelance jobs. And this way it will be way easier for you if at some stage you decide, oh, it's time for me to drop full-time job and to start freelancing full-time, because by that time you will have a sort of a profile built up on freelancing platforms, or you will have some steady clients with whom you've worked during those times when you've been combining a full-time job and a freelancing. So you will have something to base your further growth upon. Now, another con of freelancing is that taxes can be challenging, and I know many people hate doing their own taxes, and as a freelancer your income is not automatically taxed, so you have to file your taxes individually, and for different countries it might mean different things. It might be more complicated in some countries, less complicated in other countries, but my advice here is that you can always use the help of some accountant who will be happy to help you, and it doesn't cost a lot of money, trust me, and you don't have to file your taxes each month typically in most countries. So it would mean that you will only have to pay your accountant like once per quarter and you're good. The third con of freelancing is that there is no paid time off. So if you don't work, you don't get paid. And you have to keep that in mind in case you plan on your vacations. Another con for some people who consider freelancing is that when you are doing freelancing, you have to take care of your own benefits, meaning health insurance, medical insurance, your retirement plans. My point of view here is that you have to take care of your retirement. Anyways, another huge con of freelancing is that your work isn't guaranteed, and you will spend a lot of unpaid time searching for jobs, searching for clients, browsing for projects, and this time will be unpaid, and you have no guarantee that it will end up in a paid project and how and when you will be paid. And this is a huge con because you cannot plan your own expenses, your own income, your own nothing. And this leads us to another con of freelancing, and that is there might be some paying issues with the clients. When you work for a company, typically it's your company that pays you your salary. But when you work with clients, you have to depend on their own honesty and goodwill. Of course, there are some platforms like Upwork, but an Upwork client is always right. So you basically have no big chances of winning a dispute in case there is one. And now let's talk about pros and cons of being a full-time employee. Great pro of being a full-time employee is the predictability and stability of your income, and that you actually know how much you will be earning each month, because we all have our bills to pay, we have families to provide for, and of course, talking about benefits, paid vacations, paid sick days, and ability to plan your retirement, maybe to have your medical insurance in place is actually great. But at the same time, you have less control over your professional growth. You have to depend on your manager, on your raise. Freelancing in this regard has more potential because you're dependent on no one, and you can take on more challenging projects in order to grow faster professionally, and then again set higher rates and charge more. And another pro of being a full-time employee is that you have more structured professional growth, meaning that typically when you join the company, you are being told the development plan that you can follow in order to get your raise or to be promoted or whatever. So in this regard, the paths here are more clear, and you can follow these paths to get your raise, to get your professional growth. Yes, it will be slower than in case of freelancing, but it will be more clearer. You don't have to think, you don't have to be, creative about your professional growth. You don't have to think, oh, maybe it's time for me to raise my rates, or how would I go about this? You have clear strategy of how to do that. Another great pro of being a full-time employee is the ability to collaborate with the team. As a freelancer, you typically have to find that support you need, you might need. Even introverts need support in different professional groups on LinkedIn, on Quora, on Stack Overflow. However, if you're working inside the company, you typically have team you work with, and your colleagues and your managers, and some managers are really supportive, so they will give you a hand or tell you where to go and where to ask for help. So in this regard, being a full-time employee inside one company is a great thing. Now let's talk about the cons of being a full-time employee. Whilst working for one company has more sense of stability, at the same time you are fully dependent on that company as well. If you have no additional streams of income, you should actually be aware of where it might lead you in case any crisis happens. When some pandemic strikes or some economic crisis strikes and companies let go of thousands of their employees, where you might end up? What will you do in case you get let off? Working for one company has more sense of stability. At the same time, it's more dangerous because you're dependent on that company. But let's talk about more common cons of being a full-time employee. And the first one is having difficulties with maintaining your work-life balance. Many employees say that it's really hard for them to maintain the lifestyle they want because they don't really spend enough time with their families. They have to go away in the morning and come back in the late evening, especially if there is a huge commute involved. So they don't really feel satisfied with how their life goes because they spent all of their life at work. And if this sounds like you, and if you are concerned about the very same things, but at the same time you enjoy stability of being an employee of one company, I would recommend you going for remote positions, because this way you will save the time on commute. This is the first thing. And the second thing, you will see your family more. And if you organize your working from home routine right, I've talked about this in my old lame online course about working from home, then you will have no problems with that. You will see your family more, say at lunches, at dinners. Instead of coffee breaks, you might just go and hang out with your family, with your kids, but at the same time you get your job done, you go to your home office, you lock the doors and get your job done. And I have talked about remote positions a lot on this channel. Check out these videos next if you want to find out more and where you can find them. And we'll move on to the next con. Routines can become stale, and many employees say that they do feel like they're stuck and they can't move on, and they don't feel the professional growth they were hoping for. And the more you work for one company and one project, the less attractive you are in the eyes of your future potential employers. Whilst it's not good to jump from project to project and from company to company, if you stay in one position at one place for far too long, you become less desirable in the eyes of headhunters, because actually, if you have the experience, you might not have the variety of skills needed for the new position. So in case you want a promotion, or if you want to build new skills, jump to another company, and that's how you actually grow professionally way faster. Another obvious con of being a full-time employee is that your working hours and your working days are defined by your employer. And in case you need flexibility, in case you're a caregiver, this is not good for you, and you might at some point become resentful. And now, when deciding between being a freelancer or being a full-time employee, consider all pros and cons that comes with both options. And if you're still unsure, I would recommend you asking yourself these questions, find out your preferences and actually what would work better for you. And the first question you might ask yourself is, what motivates you? For example, if you have a freelancer mindset, your answer might be, oh, I'm motivated by a great work-life balance, and I'm motivated by travels, and I'm motivated by flexibility, I want my freedom. And if you have like a more employee mindset, you may answer something like, I'm motivated by financial security. Now, the next question you may ask yourself, what appeals to you the most about freelancing? Even if you're like a full-time employee person, you may from time to time wonder whether it will be good to do some freelancing. For example, if you have a freelancer mindset, your response might be something like, I get bored pretty easily, and I don't like routines, and I like multiple projects, I like handling multiple tasks, different tasks, and I just want to spread my work week between multiple projects. This is the case, say, for multi-potential leads, and I've done a video about multi-potential leads a few years ago. Check this out. And if you're more of an employee mindset, your answer may be, I think I could make more as a freelancer than at my current position, because I know people who are as freelancers, they set higher rates and therefore earn more, and I would like that. Now this one is an extremely vitally important question you should ask yourself about freelancing, and that is, do you have a marketable skill, a high in demand skill? And the freelancer type of response would be, yes, I've checked XYZ resources and my skills are in high demand and they are highly paid, and I know that I could earn a lot of money with that and I will have no shortages of clients. Whilst employees type of response might be something like, oh, I enjoy doing a little bit of everything, I don't have any particular skill that is in high demand as of now. Say I'm no data engineer, I'm no NLP engineer, I'm no digital marketer or whatever, but I enjoy to do a little bit of everything. I'm sure I'll find something to do. Now, another question you should ask yourself is whether you enjoy working in a group. And as a freelancer, typically your response would be something like, I might work in a group or I might not. It's not a deal breaker for me. I can work on my own and I can enjoy communicating with other people outside of my work. Whilst employee mindset might be the following: what I enjoy the most about being an employee is the office talk, communication with your colleagues, with your coworkers, and just enjoying being with other people. Another question you should ask yourself is whether or not you prefer to work with clients directly. So if you have a freelancer mindset, your answer might be, I enjoy working with clients, I'm not afraid of working with clients and receiving their feedback, I'm not afraid to talk back to them. If you have an employee mindset, your answer might sound something like, client-facing roles are not my favorite, I would prefer to work behind the scenes and not actually meet with clients and having to prove my point of view. Another important question is, what do your savings look like? And for people who would love to start freelancing, their answers should better be, I have savings enough to live for 6 months at least, and then I'll have to find some steady income. Of course, they will start from day zero, but they shouldn't be worried that they will starve in case they don't find that project of theirs from day zero. Whilst if you answered that you don't have any savings and if you give up on your full-time job, you will have nothing to eat, then you'd better stay an employee. Another important question is, do you have a large network? And if you have a freelancer mindset, or if you're ready to be a freelancer, your answer may sound like, yes, I have an extensive network of clients or ex-colleagues or ex-partners with whom I would be happy to work again and to whom I have no issues reaching out to and to communicate my way through them and say, hey, I'm starting on my own now and I might do with some projects. And if you worked for the same company for several years, or if you worked for a couple of companies, but networking is not really your thing and you wouldn't want to reach out to your ex-coworkers, ex-partners, ex-clients to ask for a project, well, then probably you are more of an employee type. And now coming back to another thing is, can you test out freelancing first? And if you have a freelancer mindset, your answer would be, and I promise, yes, I can dedicate, say, 30 minutes per day, or I can dedicate my weekends to freelancing and see how it goes. And if you would answer something like, I have a busy schedule, I have a lot on my plate, and I just don't think I could find the time to freelance outside of my current job, you are probably the employee type. And the last question I want you to ask yourself is, are you disciplined about your work? Because if you're a freelancer, you'll have to be extremely disciplined and meet your deadlines. Firstly, set your own deadlines, meet your own deadlines, and, never disappoint neither yourself nor your potential clients. You should be great at time management and have no issues with procrastination, or at least know how to cope with your own procrastination. Whilst if you are a more of an employee type, your answer may sound like, I'm motivated when I'm set goals, but I prefer those goals to be set by someone else. Now, the bottom line of this all is that choosing between being a freelancer and being a full-time employee totally depends on your lifestyle, on your work style, and how your mind actually operates. And there is nothing wrong with choosing one or another, because what's ideal for some people may be dreadful and counterproductive for others. And if you would like to try out freelancing after all, I would recommend you watching this playlist of mine next, because this is where we talk in details how to get your first freelance job, how to grow as a freelancer, how to build a business based on your freelancing experience, and so on and so forth. So check this playlist next. I'll see you there.